We want to approve those tonight?
I thought we was gonna go ahead and do all these right here.
That's fine with me. There was one we can't do. Okay. Falkenberg we can't do because we don't know about that one.
Oh, Amy.
I'm sure she will, but I hadn't talked to her. And who's the fair board? I'm on it, but I didn't know if we have another appointment.
We don't have a name, so I wasn't gonna mess with that.
Well,
Or do you want it?
I'm already there.
So you want it again then?
No, I mean, I just got voted on by them and asked to be on it, St. Norman's place. But
We still got,
we've still got another appointment.
we still need to do you, and then we need to do Ryan.
Now, if we do me, that means we've got one less guy. Yeah, if I'm not appointed, I'm just voted on.
We always vote on Norman and put him on there.
Pardon?
We always voted and put Norman on there.
Yeah, my problem, I don't have a problem with it, but we don't have to vote put me. I'm already been voted on by them. And I'm not appointed by, it wasn't an appointment. They just said we wanted somebody from our township to be.
Oh, okay.
So this way we get another appointment.
Morgan County, Morgan County Health.
Yeah, I think that's already been discussed.
That's what, and it's,
Marty said something about that, but that's, has that already been, is that on there?
nope.
I will be
I'm not on there, so I
surprised
can do that then.
Okay.
Let me say that.
Hey, Jim.
Did you lose your beard?
Yeah.
Treasure
Maybe you did.
was open, I would.
Yeah, what is it? IU Morgan County, IU Morgan County Foundation Board,
I could enjoy doing that.
Morgan Health Foundation Board. IU Morgan,
I don't know, I just think it eats me.
I'm not sure that's what it is.
Oh, yeah, that,
I'm almost sure that's what it is.
Only one I saw there was the question was that we don't want to be a
I
commissioner.
won't do anything on the fair board.
No fair board, no animal.
Anyone near my,
No animal control.
Well, no, animal disease. I'm not going to appoint her to
no,
that.
you didn't, although,
I don't mind doing it. It took us forever last year. but
Yeah, I'm taking that
wanna-
one off and this one.
thought I'd like to
Nope,
do
and nope,
did you see my email too about
nope, not right now. HR, them we
for
are,
one
we
thing,
are.
Brian's.
Yes, we are. Lindsay Smith, and this one we are, okay.
All right.
I'm good.
We good? You give the prayer?
I can
Or
do
I
that.
can do it, but mine's silent.
So,
Good evening. I'm on. I'm live. I'm glad to be alive. Welcome to our December 20th meeting of the Morgan County Commissioners. We'll begin with a Pledge of Allegiance, and it's going to be Doree Fry is going to honor a veteran, and then we'll have the pledge, and then Kenny Hale will give us a prayer.
This is to honor my cousin, David McWilliams, who passed away in November. He's an Army veteran. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Bow your heads, please. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we can never thank you enough for that precious gift that you set out for us, Lord, with your Son Jesus coming and being born. And we just can never thank you enough for that terrible price that he paid for us, Lord. And we thank you that you do have power over life and death, and you proved it to us during the resurrection. But we just want to celebrate the anniversary of his birth, and we can never thank you enough for that. We ask that you please be with all the people that's struggling out there with the virus and all the many other ailments that they are physically and mentally, Lord. We just ask that you please be with them. Please be with all of the emergency workers and the sheriffs and firemen, everybody that's on the front line battling this disease. Please be with all of our men and women that's protecting us, this great nation you created, whether they're afar or near. We just ask that you please bring them back home safely in due time, Lord. We ask it all in your precious name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. I should announce for the record and also for the folks that are wondering where our third commissioner is. He's on vacation. Brian Collier's in Colorado, hopefully with cast-free. He's going down the mountains that I stay safe, and we'll see him at the next meeting. We will be meeting again, I think it's the 29th. Is that correct, Kenny?
Yes.
So it's Kenny Hale and myself and everybody on the front desk here. We have a fairly long agenda, but it's not too complicated. And we're going to begin with some rezones from our planning director, Laura Parker. You want to introduce it, or how you want to handle it, Laura?
All three of these requests on the top of your agenda tonight come to you with a unanimous favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, I was there, Kenny and I were both,
everybody
Kenny's
was
on the
there.
board, and I was there, and I saw it. I have no problem just approving all three at once instead of, is that legit, or should we go one at a time?
They are three separate ordinances.
One at a time, then.
Kenny Hill makes a motion that we approve the rezone request at 7769 East Hadley Road from agricultural to R1.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 2-0. We have another request. I'll go ahead and get this one on 7437 North Gray Road, Ag to Resident 1. I move that we approve that.
Second.
Motion's been made and second to approve the request on the Gray Road. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes 2-0. We have a request on Skunk Hollow. Go ahead and make a motion because I'd like to say that, Skunk Hollow. So we're going to do a request on Skunk Hollow from Ag to Resident 1. Move that we approve that. And it's been seconded. All in favor of all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 2-0. Thank you, Laura, and thank the meeting. It was very well interested in the unanimous decisions there. We have a conflict of interest to, I think the appropriate thing to do on the conflict of interest is to, hang on a second. The uniform conflict of interest disclosure statement that pertains to one of our members on the county council, Chip Keller, and he's got everything filled out here. Chip is on our council and is required by law, statute to inform us of any conflict of interest he might have in a disclosure statement. Do you have any questions, Kenny, on that? I go ahead and I will make a motion. We approve the disclosure statement.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded, and we approve the conflict of interest statement for Chip Keller, William Chip Keller. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 2-0. Getting a thing to sign down there.
We're getting accumulated over here, yes.
Okay. Okay. Don't want to get caught behind on that. All right, we have a couple of ordinances on our personnel, or on our policy handbook that we've discussed, and it's been, we would like to make I suppose what we have to do here is make a suggestion that we make these changes on the policy handbook, and then the council would approve them, because they,
Both of you approved.
both of us has to approve. We'll kick the ball, and then they kind of catch it and run. Is that way it's going to work?
Do we have to have a second
Oh,
reading?
you wanna-
Since we don't have,
We'll have to, yeah.
It's not unanimous. I've got to.
yeah,
You'll have to have a second reading.
Oh, yeah.
on the 29th.
So this will not go to the council tomorrow night.
Okay,
It'll
I
have
see.
to go-
Yeah, I wondered how that was going to.
You'll have it at your next meeting, and then on
Okay.
the January meeting, we can.
So the January it'll be going to the council, but it won't go tomorrow night.
Could Could I make a
Correct.
suggestion then that we, when the council gets it, we make it retroactive to 1/1/2022?
Okay. Do you want to proceed, well, probably a good idea to proceed now with the first reading, and then we can do the second reading, and we'll be ready to roll. Does that work?
Yeah, I don't have to read it, do I?
Pardon?
She just
I'll
needs
tell
a
you what
motion.
it's about.
Yeah, read it with all the.
No, I don't have to
Okay.
read it. I just, I mean,
So
this is,
in
yeah.
the FMLA section, we have a paragraph that states that department head, elected official can approve up to 10 unpaid days of leave. And this year, this has been abused by several different departments and not necessarily been used for FMLA purposes. And so we have requested and suggested that it be removed from the handbook. And anything that is unpaid time would need to be going before the commissioners.
That's in paragraph 1 and 2. And it's in your, it's in your book, or your packet. Employees must exhaust their accrued leave and compensation time before going to unpaid leave status. I like what you're doing, and I think this clarifies some of the abuse that we're seeing. So, do you have any questions, Kenny?
Nope.
I'll move that we go ahead and approve this on first reading. The ordinance to amend the Morgan County Personnel Policy Handbook pertaining to paid time off, or unpaid leave, excuse me. It's been motions made and seconded to approve that on first reading. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 2-0. And then we have the second.
The second one is our sheriff's department is going to, their road deputies will be going to 12-hour shifts. They will have 1 week that has 3 12-hour shifts. They will have 1 week that has 3 12-hour shifts and 8 hours, for a total of 80 hours for the pay. And they have requested that we look at their PTO and time off that they're allowed. And so what we did was come up with a formula that was 75% 12 hours and 25% that was 8 hours. And that is agreeable to Sheriff Myers and to Jail Commander Dave Rogers. And I believe the council hopefully will be in agreement. But that is what we were looking at to make that fair and equitable for them when they're going to 12-hour shifts.
You have any questions? I'll move that we go ahead and approve that ordinance to
Second.
amend.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to amend the ordinance in the personnel handbook on paid time off. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 2-0. Thank you. Now we got, let's see where we at. Oh, you've got another one. You're still up on kicking.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
It was brought to our attention that to qualify for the Community Crossings Grant that we needed to do a few more things. One of those things is to have an ADA plan and to have an examination of all of our public buildings, as well as adding certain documents to our Title VI plan. So I have added those documents to the Title VI plan. One of those things is an organizational chart that will go on our website. Another thing is I've asked all public offices to have their, it's a language card, and they can point to whatever language they need. And then we have 48 hours to get that translator available for them. So those things have been added to the Title VI plan, as well as the grievance procedure for the ADA plan. And there was one other document for, I believe it's the non-disclosure agreement for the ADA plan.
I appreciate your work on that. I'm curious how you're going to find somebody that can speak Haitian Creole.
Well, I actually have 2 contacts
really?
that we would work through as a translating service, and I feel like we probably could possibly get some help from IU
I was
as needed.
pretending to have a Collier moment there, and all of a sudden you got a fry answer. I appreciate that. Thank you. Do you have any questions, Kenny?
Nope.
You want to make a motion to proceed with this?
Kenny Howe makes a motion that we amend Title VI Implementation Plan as well as the Morgan County Organizational Chart.
I'll second. And all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 2-0. I don't know
Do we-
why
do we need
you
to
have
add
to
the-
second something then.
We have a couple more documents that should be included in that, if that's okay. The grievance procedure
Grievance.
and the non-disclosure.
Kenny Howe makes a motion, we approve the Morgan County Government Grievance Procedure under the American Disability Act as well as a notice to non-discrimination underneath the Americans with Disability Act, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973.
Thank you, Kenny, and I'll second that motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 2-0.
Okay, thank you.
You're in business.
Debating whether or not this is an ordinance and if it will have to come back at the next meeting or not.
For second reading.
Oh, that's not, I don't know, I have an answer to that.
We might have an incomplete packet we're gonna have to kind of brush up on. Fill in some missing pieces, but we're trying to determine whether we need to do that tonight, or if we'll get that together for next meeting, if it's an ordinance.
When I presented the Title VI plan the first time, it wasn't an ordinance.
Okay.
So I don't know if that matters. The ADA plan is not complete. Once we get the examination by DLZ, that will be complete. But it isn't, these are the pieces we needed to have for the Community Crossings grant.
Okay. Think we can approve those by motion and adopt it by ordinance when it's complete?
Well, does it need to be adopted by ordinance since the Title VI plan did not? I don't know. But maybe we would have time to research that by then. So basically what happened is we were told that we didn't have all the documents that we needed. And so we came up with these documents. I worked with NDOT and with Tony, and we came up with the documents that were needed. And DLZ hopefully will be working with us to examine all of our public areas. And once we have that, that'll go into the ADA plan. And the Title VI plan is actually a portion of the ADA plan. But that we needed to have these updated, and I needed to show what our action was on these items for them to move forward with the Community Crossings grant.
The flashcards and the organizational chart and the index, I mean, I would,
Those two for the Title VI plan, which DLZ will also be looking at the Title VI plan to see if there's anything else we needed to add. But we needed to have actionable items to show them, for them to approve the monies for us.
I mean, I would be inclined to think that those items could be inserted into an already existing, an adopted plan, just by motion.
And we're amending it anyway by doing this.
So in other
That's
words,
essentially what you
Thinking
intended, right?
Yes.
just an amendment, but we do need to act on the agreement for architectural and engineering services for DLZ, it looks like.
Well, that's not related, I don't think.
Yeah.
Got signatures on here.
I saw that.
Think it
But I
is.
thought that was
Part of
something
it.
from Tony.
so,
Oh, I see.
That will be something from Tony. That's not something from me.
the Title VI,
Is from me, yes.
yeah. But what I'm saying is that for NDOT, we just need to show that the commissioners approve the update
Yes.
to the,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a matter of showing minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I see. I wondered, I thought there was something missing in the agenda, but it's not. It's a part of your plan for the community crossings.
If you look back in your email, I had sent the letter to you guys that I had sent to NDOT. If you, I can resend that to you so you can read that.
Okay.
And to me, we're just amending it, but you created the new organizational plan that wasn't in there.
Yes, I created the new organizational plan and then also the flashcards where they can tell what language they speak.
Okay.
Those were the two things added to that plan,
To
And-
the
Title VI plan.
Title VI.
Mm-hmm.
So
The,
they do need to sign the Title VI.
yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes, because we're amending it. Do we need a signature page? There's a signature page. Okay.
I think we're good.
I think we're good.
Are we
We're
good?
Too.
Okay.
Right, and that's not an agreement. Okay, so, so your motion, Kenny, is your motion for both accepting the update to the Title VI implementation plan and also the agreement,
I
DLC
did
agreement?
not do that. I did just the chart and the amendment
Just the
to the
amendment.
plan.
Okay.
I'd be more
So we'll
willing to on this one next time.
So we'll need another motion for
Yes.
that.
Kenny Hill makes a motion that we enter into the contract agreement for architectural and engineering services with DOZ.
And I'll second. And all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that motion passes 2-0. Now, like in the old poker games, the pot, right? Good. All right, let's move on. Next item on the agenda is a consulting service proposal from WIS. This doesn't require necessarily action, but it does require some discussion on where we're going with it. We have some, as we know, the council is using WIS, Wagner, you say that, Skeel Associates for, that we use for our midpoint in our discussions with salary analyses. And Josh, you want to address anything there so we can kind of get a grasp of what this is and where we're going with it?
Good evening, gentlemen. So at this point, everyone, I think, is aware of the backstory. We engaged WIS a couple of years ago. They helped us do a comprehensive revision or creation of job descriptions that were not existent before that, and they did an initial salary study. Well, one of the major themes that came out of the adoption of the budget and discussions at budget hearing time, we need to go ahead and update that salary study. So Doree did a great job. She reached out to WIS to figure out a couple different options for us. And there's essentially two tracks WIS is recommending to us. One, just update salaries. Two, update salaries and look at, maybe a number of job descriptions that are out of whack, which would be more than just one or two. It would be, here's a whole batch of things we think need to be updated and recategorized or reevaluated. And so that's the direction I believe we ought to go for this one. And once we have done this a couple times, I don't think we'll have to do that anymore. I think we can just update the actual salaries. But for now, with as much discussion as we've had, I think it would be worth our time to take the larger approach and make sure we get a number of these job descriptions updated. But no, Commissioner, I know that you had some concerns. You want to make sure that we get a few pieces out of this. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think, I really think it's interesting that what we've accomplished in trying to find some, I guess you'd say, common reasons to do what we do as far as salaries and in the comparison of other counties and so forth. But of course, that opens up a question of how's their studies made and what do they do and how do they do it and how up to date are we dealing with? Because if we get it behind, then it certainly messes up our the council's work. And so I think it'd be good to kind of sit down with the folks and say, you know, and just get like my grandfather always said, an understanding of where we are and what we'd like to see go on, and proceed with, I guess you'd say, a reasonable discussion and collaborate on what we want to accomplish. It might be good to also include in that discussion, of course, some people from the council. I think that would be helpful. So, you know, maybe they can appoint a couple of people, and we just sit down and kind of go over some things that we would like to see accomplished. And then we'll bring it back. Right now, I can see that we're going to do something, but I don't know what we're going to do till we kind of do a little more discussion. Would that be making sense?
Yeah, and I think I like your idea. I'll mention it to the council tomorrow. It sounds like perhaps you're volunteering to represent from the commissioner side.
Right.
I think we want to get this going sooner rather than later. It's going to be a 3 to 4 month
Exactly.
process. So we're ready for budget time this year.
Right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Well, then, Doria and I will reach out to WIS. We'll set up a time to get together so that we can have some discussion, and we'll bring it to the council tomorrow so that they can send
Okay.
word to people to join us.
That sounds good.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Tony, you have a bottom road discussion on curve corrections.
Yes, sorry, I apologize. Next 2 items. Bottom Road, north of Centerton, there have been some long-standing issues there. One, a property owner, but more importantly, there's a safety issue. The curves around Bottom Road, it's difficult to get any type of semi-traffic and/or EMS vehicles can be, it can be a little treacherous through that, the narrow passageway and the curve that they have there. So we are looking at straightening it out. We have a firm that we'd like to use, Resolution Group. There's already been a letter put together by the county attorney to submit to this property owner. They'd like some plans to go with it to show kind of what we're looking to do. So the contract that we're looking to do right now will be for some design improvements for safety for this road to attach to the letter to be submitted to this property owner. So I would ask for a motion to have this work done early this next coming year, so that we can provide this to the constituent.
And that's been a long-standing or too long-standing issue, and I
Yes.
think it's time to, I appreciate you taking the initiative to get it resolved instead of maintain where we are and just have people fuss. And
The superintendent and I are on the same page on this one, correct?
I really appreciate that. Kenny, do you have any questions on this?
I just want to look at something real fast.
All right.
I'm very familiar with this problem, though.
Sure.
Tony, maybe you can tell me where it says alternative 2, that field, who's the ownership of that field up there? The one to the north, right there where it says it? That's what I'm trying to get to right
Dallas.
here, and I'm just,
Dallas Rose, is that?
I believe it is, yes. I believe it's Dallas.
that's what I'm thinking too.
That is. You're talking about alternative 1, where the road kind of curves down?
Right here. That's
Oh,
Cohen,
that-
I know
oh,
that. I
that's-
don't know
yes.
who's
Cohen
got
up
that
there.
one.
Yes. That is
Here-
Milhon, I believe,
Here's
actually.
Cohen right here.
I thought this is
Yes, Milhon is actually,
over here.
No, Cohen's right there.
Milhon is actually who owns north.
Yeah. I know where
Milhon.
them are. So that's Milhon's?
Yes.
Yeah.
We want to provide a couple of different options just to show that we have looked at different alternatives. And I believe one will shake itself out to be by far and away just the best overall that we can recommend for safety, cost-wise, everything.
alternative too would obviously be less expensive, I think.
More than likely, it's going to depend on grading, to be honest,
Okay,
because there is quite a bit there that you'd have to do.
okay.
Regardless, though, we just want to get the contract going.
We
so that
get
they can
things
vet this
moving
out.
so we can get that thing
Absolutely.
wrapped up.
Yep.
And,
And we're looking sometime, probably the second February meeting to have a
Okay.
recommendation. Maybe, probably early March.
I think alternate two will be the path of least resistance.
I think you're right.
Could very well be. We're not necessarily concerned about resistance, while that might be a factor. We're going to go for the overall with the betterment of
Well,
the
I
community.
mean, yeah, but
Sure.
resistance would probably equate to more time to get the job done.
Sure. That's why we pay that guy on your far right, that's why we pay him the big bucks. The guy on your far right, that's why we pay him the big bucks.
I don't know.
The history of this has not been good.
No, it's not been good.
This is a good way to get it resolved. I don't see another good way. It has to be, if we don't do something, it's just gonna keep
Agreed.
festering. And it's a festering situation.
Agreed.
What are you gonna vacate whenever if you go with alternative one? Where are you gonna be vacating that then?
Well, we're gonna wait to get the contract. We just want to get this information out and then see where it's at and then come up, present it, and then with that recommendation, attach that to the letter that the county attorney has provided.
Gonna be a fight either way, so. Yeah. I don't have any questions.
I think we have to proceed.
I would just ask for a motion. Motion to approve the contract to proceed.
That's what I would move. I'll move that we proceed with the contract. I don't see any other way to resolve this situation.
Second.
All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Proceed, and good luck.
Thank you. Next item, just the agreement for services. This is for one of the bridges that we did apply for the LPA contract that was, or the LPA award that closed early December. Last commission meeting that we just had, I did say that we already did the work, they already did the work, they performed it well. We have consideration, we have an interview January 6th to talk about this bridge with NDOT. So this is just the agreement for services that they have rendered that we had agreed upon previously before they did the work. So this is the follow-up for the agreement to be paid for out of our next year's budget.
Kenny Hill makes a motion, we approve the agreement for service for Bridge 112.
I'll second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Next item is a petition to vacate an alley. Jim, we had a couple little boogers on that we needed to pick up.
Mostly technical corrections in nature, and I think we've decided to push back that be presented for the city council, but in speaking to Josh before this evening, I think we've got time to go ahead and make those edits and table it.
So we'll just, all right, I move to table this until we get those edited back in our hands.
Second. Petition to vacate alley.
Okay, all in favor of the motion to table the petition for the alley, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 2-0. Okay. Yeah, I didn't see that on the agenda too. I missed it. Okay, let's go ahead and take care of that. We have a agreement, a professional agreement services with our chaplain. Is anybody from that organization here? Yeah, George would be the gentleman. I know I saw him the other day, got a cookie. Is this a continuation of what they've done, or is this a new one? Same agreement as they've always done? They furnish a car and they do the service. The price stay the same? I'm glad we have that service for the folks. I don't want to see them knocking on my door, but for some reason they feel a calling and do a very important and difficult job. And this is just a renewal of that services that they provide. Kenny, you have any questions about it?
Nope.
I'll move that we go ahead and, approve the chaplain service professional agreement that we've had in the past and continue for the next year.
Second.
And, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor of this motion, say aye. Aye. Motion passes 2-0. Let me get down to where I'm at here. Be right with you. Precincts, our favorite subject right now. Yes, Josh.
So we've got a couple things for you. The first thing, you should have 2 items in your packet.
We do.
And you only have one, because before I went to vacation, I accidentally sent it to you, Don, instead of to Deb. The first one would be the ordinance for the new council and commissioner districts. You guys have seen that document before. It's a 1-pager. You can choose to do your first reading of it tonight, or you can choose to do it at your next meeting on the 29th. Nothing has changed since you guys have seen this, but it should have been in the packet, and so that's my mistake that you didn't get it.
Okay.
That's it there.
Yeah, this is the,
There's one for each of you, Don.
oh, I'm sorry.
And so it lays out which townships and precincts make up each of the council districts and commissioner districts. The one big change, after we had public hearing and took public feedback, we did modify council districts 1 and 2. Council District 1 now includes all of Washington Township, and Council District 2, which did have part of Washington Township, has been pushed into number 2, and also Jackson Township is now in Council District 2. The numbers were actually better than what we had come up with. It works well, and so that was the change that we took from our public feedback portion.
Okay.
So I'll leave it to you all how you want to handle that ordinance.
Yeah, I really enjoyed those public meetings. I enjoyed the whole process. So much different than it's been in the past, and I enjoyed the response from the public was very positive, and this change was, I think, very welcomed by them as well. So I'll move that we go ahead and approve the ordinance of the Board of Commissioners concerning the county commissioner and the county council districts for Morgan County. I know that we're not going to worry about the roads, Kenny. I know I can see you. We're going to do that countywide.
So we have an order and we have an ordinance.
Yeah, we'll come to the.
Yeah, well, the first thing is the,
So you're approving the order.
I'm doing the ordinance on the,
Just the district.
on the county
makeups.
commissioner and the county council districts. The one,
Oh,
that's the one that we just received. That's where we made a change on the council district for, I guess that was council district 1?
Yeah.
That we made, and of course, the commissioner district, we had to balance on numbers, which made the commissioner district 2 pretty large, but that's because nobody lives there. They don't use the roads.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go on record as saying, I mean, it's, I'm gonna go ahead and vote in support of this, but it's really increasing District 2 mileage tremendously. We already had 46% of the road miles, 36% of the funding, adding Clay and Baker. It's just gonna hurt, but I'll second the motion.
Well, I tell you what, I think the plan's going to be, and Tony's talked about it, is we're going to get away from just watching each other over the back as far as who goes what and what goes where. Is we're going to act as a county is what's, I think, the program that we're working out with Tony and the GIS. Hopefully, all we'll have to do is we'll get people accustomed to it, they can do it online, or they can call us up and we say, call the highway department, they'll take care of the situation and kind of take the monkey off the commissioner's back. I know we used to be called road commissioners, actually, and I guess you say that's an old horse that's going to be sent out to pasture. We're going to go with some new stuff that deals with as a county. So I don't think you'll have quite so much of a problem. But I understand, yeah, I hope it's gonna take, you're gonna get some phone calls more than others. Just send them to me, will you? Call Don. He'll tell you how it's gonna be. I'll be with you. I'll help you. I can. I'm gonna second that motion and, thank you for, what we were avoiding here basically is if we had the sizes we use road miles, we'd have a real population problem. And the statutes don't talk about road miles, they talk about population. And we would be subject to a lawsuit if we didn't we didn't keep the numbers right. Am I correct on that, Josh?
We could be subject to a lawsuit, yeah. We would.
Yeah,
So,
and I understand that. It just, I've got to still fight for my residents out in District 2, and it's just putting a tremendous more burden on us, that's all I see.
yeah, it's putting a burden on you, and I understand that, but
It's not me, it's everybody in District 2, so.
there's as many people in District 2 as there is in District 3, so
I know.
that's the whole name of the game. They just have more roads to run around and chase each other on. All ours are piled up on one road, or two, or three, or four. Okay, we've got to appreciate your concern. I sympathize with it. It's a standing issue with District 2, actually, for as long as I've been on the board. But I think we're going to get it resolved with some of the new work we're doing out at the Highway Department. I surely hope so. Motion's been made, and I'll second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. 2-0.
And then we'll bring that back to
Yes.
the 29th.
You made the motion, I second.
motion.
Yeah, you did, and I seconded already.
Kinds of stuff. The motion's been made by me and seconded by Kenny, and thank you, Kenny. Now the motion's passed 2-0. You got the record straight? Sorry, too many motions up here. Okay, now in the order of precincts, is that the next thing, or is that?
Yep, so, and just to be clear, we'll bring that ordinance for the district makeup back on the 29th. You have two things in your packet right now. One says order. If you scroll all the way to the back of all those legal descriptions, the next one says ordinance. Jim and I went back and forth. The ordinance is the one you want.
First?
Correct. We passed the orders a while back. They already
Okay.
went to the Indiana Election Commission.
We did, but
We needed to put it into ordinance form so that we can update our code of ordinances. And so they're nearly identical with the ordinance section being what's different. And along with redistricting, we updated our precincts. And so this ordinance updates all the legal descriptions. Banning Engineering Survey Department updated them for us so that they reflect what our new precincts will be.
so we really don't, we've already done the order, correct?
Correct. You guys already approved the order. This is
That's what I
just
thought,
the
but
legal
I wasn't sure.
descriptions.
Then all we have to do is, or what we're charged with right now is approving the ordinance that uses the order,
Yes.
which is fairly simple, but it was, I didn't know what was, who ran out of the barn first, so.
Yeah, the confusing thing, the Indiana Election Commission, they want an order. But for us to update our code of ordinances.
You want an ordinance.
We need the ordinance, correct.
Got it. Okay, so we have an ordinance here to establish the precincts of Morgan County. Any discussion on that? You understand?
Yep.
You want to move, or, I'll go ahead and move, because I'm in a roll here. I'll move that we approve the ordinance establishing the precincts in Morgan County.
Second.
Motion been made and second to approve the precincts. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 2-0.
Thank you, gentlemen. Again, this will come
Did you
on the
have a question on
29th
that?
for second reading.
Okay, I didn't want to jump in and make a motion without,
And if you all get questions from your constituents, Stephanie, our clerk, will send out notices to everybody with the changes that, so if they're in a new council or commissioner district, they're in a new precinct, they will get notification of all that
Okay.
information.
thank you. Yeah, that is also probably the people might question, and I don't know if, Keith, I don't know if you want to tackle this one or not, but right now, there'd be there's fewer precincts than there were. You've already had that discussion? Okay, and you know how that's going to be handled? And there'll still be a precinct committeeman if they were before. And they'll be replaced at election time. But until that time, there's still precinct people. So if we might end up with, 2 people being the precinct chairman, and they'll all be a part of it until the next election, which clarifies that. So that's already been reported. I'm sorry.
Nice thing about it, you got vote centers, so it doesn't matter where you live.
Exactly.
In the county, you can go anywhere in the county and vote.
I think the only place that really makes a difference is when you have a caucus. Because if you have a caucus, then you've got, and I don't anticipate that before we have elections, but it could happen. So,
Resigning, retiring, whatever.
right,
Positions,
right.
we wouldn't have to worry about that.
So, yeah, right, exactly. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I had my phone on. Excuse me a minute. Get this sucker turned off. I hope I did. There, she's off. Sorry about that. Okay, next item of business that we have is the contractual agreement with the Morgan County Sheriff's Department to enforce the traffic regulations in violations in Foxcliff Estates, the South Homeowners Association. Mr. Hinshaw?
Yeah, this agreement has been in place for quite a while. It's pretty straightforward. We desire as a community to have consistency both within and without the community with respect to law enforcement. And we understand that it's not a hotbed of criminal activity there, but we'd like the Morgan County Sheriff's Department to have the ability to enforce laws there. If we feel that as though there's a need, we'd be willing to hire deputies to come in. We're not expecting any additional patrolling. I had talked to Deb, and she suggested putting together this agreement, so I got the one that was currently in place and took a look at it. There appeared to be some things that have been cobbled on from previous agreements. I just cleaned it up a little bit, not a lot. The only things of substance here, it has the same Exhibit A on the back, location of stop signs, speed limit, and things like that. And reading through the document, I didn't want to have the appearance that if it wasn't included in A, it couldn't be enforced. So I added the last sentence on section 6, and it just essentially says, in addition, the Morgan County Sheriff's Department may enforce any other Indiana state laws related to the operation, registration, and licensing of motor vehicles. We didn't want to limit them in any way. Without this agreement, it's very difficult for us to enforce any of the laws. For one thing, we really can't approach strangers, not safe, or juveniles, probably get in trouble doing that. And besides that, we don't have like radar guns, and they certainly wouldn't be calibrated, and we just don't have any way. And there's no tools for enforcement, so we really rely on the county's help. Excuse me. Anyway, we would like to continue this agreement. And however you want to do it, if you want to sign it and send it to us for signatures, or for us to sign it and send it to you, or if you want to take some time to review this.
Well, I reviewed it, but Jim, do you have any questions?
Well, I didn't want to interrupt, but I think this was circulated at the end of the week, and I took a few minutes to look in statute, and I happened upon just this legislative session in 2021. I think it was revised, but there's a section that in the regulation of traffic on private property within the regulation of motor vehicles that requires us to adopt an ordinance to give the sheriff the authority to enter into such contracts. So I don't have a problem with the contract. I think we need to do that to have the proper order of events here. And I don't know what the prior version of the statute, if it was silent or different, or this is new altogether, but I think it requires us to add a small chapter in the traffic code of the code of ordinances. The contract itself, though, I think is fine.
So this contract is good, and we might have to add something in our own contracts, or our own ordinances,
I might suggest,
an ordinance, that's what I meant. yeah.
suggest that if at the next meeting, I have that ordinance prepared, I mean, it's pretty short.
Okay.
And then if it's adopted, then the contract could be executed. I don't think Mr. Henshaw would need to come back and do that again.
That'll be, yeah,
Okay,
sound good? All right.
thanks.
So we'll go ahead and approve this, and then we'll look, is that the correct procedure? We can go ahead and take this contract, and then we'll make the ordinance so we're covered.
Yeah, they can execute the contract after adoption of the ordinance.
That,
So table, yeah.
Yes. Kenny Hill makes a motion, we table this contractual agreement between Morgan County Sheriff's Department and the Foxcliff Foxcliff South Homeowners Association.
with the knowledge that we're going, it'll be taken care of through ordinance. Is that? Yeah. Yeah, I think the legislature helped you out. Were you up there messing around with it? Okay, that's a good procedure, and that's the way we'll find it, and you'll do that, you'll have that prepared for us next meeting. Okay. We have a contract here for advanced life support with Bargersville. Josh.
This last year, as a result of I-69, the commissioners, just before you all started, entered into an agreement with Madison Township to provide ALS support through the corridor because we were worried about our ability to respond if construction traffic was going on. Currently, Harrison Township is in negotiations via the commissioners to make a joint fire district. Time will determine exactly how that plays out. But as part of potentially moving that direction, we thought it made sense if we do another contract, probably for one more year, maybe one more after that. We'll just wait and see. Again, as part of I-69, we just wanted to make sure that should we not be able to respond, that we had people coming from a different direction. And so this is a contract that would allow Bargersville Fire District to respond with ALS transporting services for us. We will still respond, we'll still be relying on our team, but we wanted to make sure that we have a good backstop. And so that's the contract that's before you. It is for less than we were getting our contract with Madison. Madison was $48,000, and this one will be $30,000.
Questions, Kenny?
Nope, I'm very comfortable.
I am too. Thank you for getting this squared away.
Josh?
Need a motion?
Kenny Hill makes a motion that we enter into a contract for advanced life support with Bargersville Community Fire Protection District for the Harrison Township area in Morgan
And
County.
I will second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion 2-0. Thank you, Josh, for getting that all squared away and taking care of those folks. The commissioners, one of the things that the public generally isn't aware of how many appointments and how many boards that the county has a responsibility for. And we have a list in front of us. We don't usually make these, and we will be making these in the first of the year, but there was some appointments that we thought we would go ahead and address. So we can kind of, I guess you'd say, make sure everybody knows where things are. And we can make these appointments in advance of the January meeting. So we've got, you have, Kenny, in front of you, the list of all of them. Like there's 3 pages of them that we're involved in. But the one we're really interested in is our tonight, I think, and this, I think would be appropriate, was to be addressed the our department chair, our department heads and so forth and employees. So, Kenny, do you have any comments or questions about it?
No, I was gonna make this all in one motion, if that's all
Okay.
right with legal counsel. Kenny Hill makes a motion, we approve as county attorney for 2022, Jim Wisco, highway superintendent Grant Collinsworth, maintenance director Michelle Cooley, county engineer Anthony Hinkle, EMS director Keenan Blair, public safety dispatch director Scott Hamilton, weights and measures Scotty Manley, HR director Bree Fry, county administrator Josh Messmer, plan director Laura Parker, veteran service officer Lindsay Smith, and the IU Morgan Health Foundation Board Ryan Goodwin.
I'll second that motion and say how much it's a pleasure to work with these people. Thank you all. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 2-0. And we should have put Brian Collier here from Colorado, but I bet he's sitting up there drinking cocoa after he's been off the links. Mr. Hinkle.
Yes, annual bids.
Annual business, annual bids.
Yes, so the first meeting of the commissioners this month, we open annual bids. We would recommend, after reviewing them, that we do select all bids that were supplied. We've been in contact with the low bidders, and they know that they are the low bid. However, we do need backups for, in case of pipe, in case of deliverance, things of that nature. So gravel, hot mix, et cetera. So we have been in contact. Asphalt Materials knows that they were not the low bid. However, they may be called upon after right of first refusal by Marathon. So we do accept all bids. There are a couple different pipe manufacturers, I think, that we should select as well. So that gives us the most flexibility and the greatest impact to the county. So, we did not have an oil and diesel bid. We have reached out. We do have one now. We are reviewing that. We're going to reach out and have another one. So I would recommend a motion that we approve all annual bids that we have received and select annual bids for our gas/diesel at the first or second meeting in January. We may be able to provide it by the next meeting on the 29th, and then be able to vote on it on the 1st. But similar to the snow removal that we did, we've gone through the process. Everybody had the chance to bid, so now we can go solicit. But I would recommend that all the bids that we received, those be approved.
I will move that we accept all the bids that have been extended and with the knowledge that the ones concerning fuel oil and gasoline will be coming the 1st of January.
That is correct.
All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 2-0. And thank you for that, and thanks for reaching out. What you got? Okay, we have one appointment here we need to hit. What was that?
Kenny Hill makes the motion, we approve EMA Director Mark Toomey for 2022, and I am sorry I forgot him. He was up above all the rest of them, I am sorry.
I missed it myself. It's a 2-year for,
Oh.
It was enough.
I think he was recommended by that board too. I think
Okay.
that was another thing that was, that's who really makes the recommendation on the
It's not
EMA.
in yellow, I am sorry. Yep,
It's what? Oh, I don't have yellow on mine, just
he's
gray.
not, yeah, I do have, and I still missed it, I'm sorry.
No, not a problem. All right, all in favor of the mark is EMA? Aye?
We don't need it now.
We don't need it
We
now?
don't need it.
I'm sorry. I thought-
Sorry about, that's my fault, Don.
That's my fault because I didn't catch it. Where are you here on that, Kenny?
IU Health Foundation Board, that's not on this list.
Yeah, I don't know that that was on there,
No,
foundation
but
board.
I know it's one that we've done in the past. I know Carol Kenner's been one. I know Marty Weaver's been the other one for years for Morgan County.
I think there has to be and that's, unless there's a resignation. Let's wait and, let's go ahead and table that until we find out where we
They
are.
already did.
They've already resigned?
Their recommendation was Ryan
They
Goodwin.
sent a recommendation to you on that?
That's why I didn't.
Okay, well, I thought you had some reason for it.
Yeah.
But when I heard you say it, I thought you must have found out about the resignation of Marty, I think, left, if I'm not mistaken.
He is just stepping
He's
down,
resigning,
yes.
and so, yeah. So I didn't realize who appointed who there.
Well, we need to get some information so we can get it on our appointment record.
Okay,
And, yeah.
we will get that you want to get that information before, or how do you want to do it? What do you think's the best procedure here?
As soon as you can get it to us.
Oh, I can get it for
So
you.
we can update
Yeah.
the record so we can list the current members and their length of term and
Okay,
expiration dates.
can you take care of that?
Yep.
Okay,
We only had 2 appointments. IU has the rest of them, and I know Tana Lobb was the other one that was just appointed by IU board, so.
okay.
Marty was the other one from Morgan
Okay.
County side.
We'll get the information to you, or Kenny will. Thank you, folks. Okay, let's go down. I think we're ready for other business, correct?
Yes.
We have a tort claim. That is in your packet. Hang on a second, oh, here it is. It's with this one right here.
Yes. I got that. I'm looking for the other 2 letters in there.
And you reviewed that?
Yep.
And your motion would be, or I will move that we go ahead, I assume we hand this off to
Forward that to our insurance company.
insurance.
Kenny Howe makes a motion. We go ahead and forward the tort claim on to our insurance carrier.
Moves, I second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 2-0.
Got 2 letters. There they are.
And I lost my agenda and all this pile of stuff. Hang on. Very helpful one here. We have other businesses, the Morgan County Leadership Academy, and we have an application here from Doree Fry to be in the class of 2022 in the MCLA. And I'm so glad you're going to be a part of that, if we say yes, and I'm hoping we will. Thank you. It's a very fine way to get to know things in the county that you know already a lot of. But Kenny, we've had the MCLA board has actually reached out to me and said this is a person we'd like to have in our group. So I'll go ahead and make the motion that we accept the application of Doree Fry as to be in the Morgan County Leadership Academy class of 2022.
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
And welcome to the Leadership Academy. You'll have a lot of fun with that. You'll have to listen to me once in a while, maybe twice. You do that all the time anyway, so. Thank you, Doree. Really appreciate your work. The other item on the agenda is a correspondence on buffer zones. We've had a couple of things. I don't want to make any kind of, I'd like to consider tabling any kind of action on the buffer zones, but I would say in your packet, we have a couple of requests and comments on buffer zones, but I think it would be appropriate to wait till we have Brian to make the move on that thing. So I'll move that we table that till we have a full board.
Second.
All in favor of that motion to table, say aye. Aye. Motion is tabled. Yeah.
We got the 2 transfer letters.
Now, we have a couple of transfer letters. Kenny, you want to tell us about those?
We have 2 transfer letters. Both of these are pertaining to finishing up at the Wilbur School, running just a little bit short. And hopefully we're gonna be able to squeak this by, but the first one is $1,200 from communication internet into contractual service. The second one is instruction education in there for a total amount of $2,700. The second letter is transferring equipment into contractual service as well in the amount of $3,415. And I'm just needing blessing on them.
And this will take care of getting some work done out there at the Wilbur School, some new windows.
Gonna finish that whole big project up once we get them in. The windows have been ordered, but they will not be in for about 10 to 16 weeks. They're custom made.
Well, I'll move that we approve these transfers.
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 2-0. Do we have any other items on the agenda that I've slipped by? The only other item before adjournment, I think, is our, for the good of the county. Anything you wanted for the good of the county?
I am good. I'm just blessed that we've dodged the snow so far this year, and I thank God for that. And just wish everybody a great Christmas. And that's all I got as far as good as the county done, but I'm sure you got something for us.
Oh, always something. I think today I saw something I really, we've had a year, and I expect the good of the county might come sort of a surprise, but I think it's the good of the county to see where we are with I-69. I know that it's a little rocky, but it's here. Poor people in Bloomington lived through 5 years of stuff, and we're cooking. And Kenny and I drove 17 miles a day. I guess from what I hear, that maybe that's not still going on, but this week we'll see a lot of action. And the governor made a really good comment. I thought it was really good. He said, roads connect us. And, we've been relatively patient. We've had a lot of phone calls. I think they all just had Collier's number because he liked to talk to him. But to see us progress and see those people out there and see what the beauty of the whole thing. You don't think of an interstate being really pretty, but they've done an exceptional job of memorializing, or I guess it's not memorializing, they've made monuments that make us proud, and it's really kind of pretty. I know before he got another job, Grant was out there helping pitch in that, and he knows how expensive some of that stuff gets, but it looks good out there, Grant, and I appreciate what you did there, and I'm glad you're working with us. So it works out well. But 69 is going to make a lot of difference in the way Morgan County does business. We've already got a lot of folks looking at us. That's all I have. It was just really a lot of fun today, talking to folks and seeing the people out there and meeting the governor. I told him, I introduced myself, and I said, I'm the last, and I said, we've only had one commissioner in this whole bunch that's been able to look you in the eye, and that's, I replaced him, so I can't do that. Ryan Goodwin was, I think, the only commissioner we ever had to stand and look at Governor Holcomb right smack dab in the eye. Any other business? Well, thank you all for being here. I wish you a nice Christmas, and I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Kenningham makes a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second it, and we'll start signing away. Thanks for being here.